Another retro side scroller beat 'em up game. I already know what you're thinking. Do we really need another game like this? Well, after spending a couple of my 4 a.m. gaming sessions and playing through 15 Marvel superheroes, it's near perfect for those quick hit gaming sessions. And welcome, everyone, as I'm going to talk through Marvel's Cosmic Invasion and see if this game is worth your limited time and your limited budget. And let's break it all down. So the game is brought to you by the same team who did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, Shredder's Revenge. It is a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up adventure, and you're going to be fighting Annihilus and his Annihilators through many waves of enemies. It does span across 16 levels that include New York City, Wakanda, the Negative Zone, even Asgard. So you will have 15 characters. 11 of them are unlocked. There's four additional that you will need to unlock, and you will do that kind of throughout the story of the 16 missions. So when you look at the basics, it does include, like I already stated, story mode, 16 levels. It does have an arcade mode where you can kind of, just repeat different levels, and you can do quick runs. It does offer four-player, so, from co-op to, local and even online, which is actually pretty cool. And, as far as the characters go, you can level up each character up to level 10. And I can tell you there's a ton of unlocks and challenges. I mean, like each mission, it does kind of show you, three challenges, pending certain characters you have to use. You might have to use a certain character to, beat a certain boss, or you may have to perform a certain move, or move set. And with that, let me run through the characters. Now, I will tell you guys, I will have to use a cheat sheet for this because normally I do kind of go unscripted when I talk about these games, but in this case, I got to look at a list. So you do have Captain America, Wolverine, Nova, Storm, Spider-Man, Beta Ray Bill, Black Panther, Cosmic Ghost Rider, sorry, Venom, phyla-vell, She-Hulk, Rocket Raccoon, Silver Surfer, Phoenix, and Iron Man. So yeah, sorry, I did have to look at my cheat sheet that's on screen. And so yeah, I can't tell you. You can grab the game. I think it's $30 on Steam, even PlayStation, and it is offered through Xbox Game Pass and Ultimate. Which again, I know there's a lot of debates around the prices, and a lot of people may have canceled their membership. But if you do still have it, the game is included there, and I think it came out on with day one. So let's talk about gameplay mechanics around the game. The combat, I can tell you, it feels great. It's smooth, and everything is very fast paced. It's basically what you would expect when you think about a 2D side scroller beat 'em up game. Every character does have their basic attacks. They also have their combos. Whether it's a 3-hit combo or a 4-hit. Depending on the character that you're playing, that they may dodge or they might even block. Like as an example, Captain America, he's going to block with his shield, whereas someone else may actually kind of do a dodge attack. Every character also has a special ability that they can do. They also have an ultimate that you can fire off too. Now, both of these do require a cooldown. The special ability versus the ultimate. Obviously, the ultimate has a longer cooldown when compared to the special ability. Now, the one thing I do like about the game is that kind of swap mechanic. So every single level, you do get to pick two characters that you can go into the game with. From what I can tell, I haven't found like an advantage by picking one character with another. In other words, like some type of a bonus that you might get. Like if you take Wolverine and Storm together, I haven't actually. I could be wrong on that, but I haven't witnessed that. What I can tell you though is the key is you might want to take a ground character and a character who can fly. So let's use the same example. Whereas you have Wolverine, who typically is going to be on the ground. He can jump and still attack flying enemies. But if you with Storm, you can actually hover in the air. So there are like some when I was telling you about challenges, that it might be like avoid the stampede rush. Well, if you have a ground character, then you have to kind of dodge up and down to avoid it. But if you have a flying character, the minute you get alerted it's coming, just fly up in the air and you can just hover there. And so it's very easy, I can tell you, to maybe address some of the challenges. So I think that's really the only benefit when you kind of think about that swap mechanic. The other thing I do like about it, though, is, you can just go to town. In other words, what I mean is you can just constantly swap back and forth. So especially in a boss, I found myself that do a quick hit, switch. Just kind of keep going back and forth, and I was able to drain the bosses down pretty quick by doing that. Now, to be fair, they can interrupt your attack, so I do want to point that out. Along the same lines, think about a ranged character again versus a melee. Think about Captain America can kind of toss his shield, whereas Wolverine is kind of close up. So those are factors you might want to, take into consideration when you're playing through the different levels. So let's talk about what really works, and then maybe what's some things that I didn't like about the game. So obviously, whether you've seen videos and maybe you're seeing them the first time on screen, with my review, the pixel art is gorgeous. I mean, I love the way that the game looks, along with the same aspect, the character animations. I mean, they're spot on. So with combination of the graphics and the smooth animations, yeah, the game just works. I mean, it does kind of draw you in. And speaking of all of that too, is the backgrounds that kind of go with each level. Again, fantastic looking. And even the boss battles, I mean, pretty epic. I mean, I'm not going to go say like grand scale type epic boss battles, but they're fun. They're fun to play. And some of them can be challenging. So, we'll kind of point that out. And I think, with all of that, I think the voice acting was also spot on when you really think about these characters. It's everything you would actually expect from the characters, and even some of the banter that you might, hear throughout the levels. Everything to me was spot on. So again, the graphics, the pixel art, the backgrounds, the smooth animations, the combat, the way it feels, all really worked when you think about the game. Now, when you think about things that didn't work with the game, so to me, this is a pretty big one. Is You can beat the game in about 3 hours. So even though it's 16 levels, yeah, you probably can jump in and out 10, 15 minutes per level, and yeah, you can finish the game in about 3 hours. So you got to take it or leave it, and that's really going to lead me into the next section, which kind of talks about the value. But other things that I did kind of find is normal is just too easy. You're going to find out that most games I do play is normal. In this case, I did do, ran through. I haven't fully beat the game. I think I only have like maybe 2 or 3 levels left, but I can tell you, I think I'm sitting around about that 2 hour, 15-minute mark. So yeah, I even looked it up, and it is 3 hours, and it is perfectly on pace from what I've experienced up to this point. So I'm near the end already, and but I wanted to get this review out. But I can tell you, yeah, the normal is too easy. I would probably put it on hard, and I may try it just to see how much harder the game is. But for a gamer like me, and although I do play a lot of games, I found it way too easy. I think I may have died once on a boss battle, only because I was just kind of spamming things, or I should say, I really didn't like the two characters I picked. They just, I don't know, like I was telling you, maybe a flying versus a ground. It just didn't gel that well. So I lost a lot of energy, leading up into the boss battle. But he probably is less than 5%. So that's what I mean. I only died once. So with that, guys, the next section, I do want to kind of talk about the value, and, is it truly worth your investment, or maybe, do we want to wait for a sale? Where it gets a little trickier is when you really think about, should I buy the game? And because $30 for a 3 hour campaign, in my mind, is a tough sell. But, I'm going to break it down like this for everybody. You need to kind of ask yourself maybe four questions, right? So, are you a Marvel fan? Do you geek out, with all of their characters, and knowing that you can just play, a game with all these characters? Okay. At the same time, you know, do you plan to replay the game multiple times, and maybe using different characters, along with different combos? What I can tell you from my perspective with this one, it's very simple. If you have what, 16 levels, you have 15 characters, and the game allows you to choose two characters at a time. I can actually get through that entire game, seeing every character, because I would just use different characters per level just to see, how they play. So I once I beat it, and again, I think I have maybe 3 or 4 levels left. I don't recall. I will not go back through it. So basically, for me, paying $30 just to experience the campaign, it's not worth it for me. But I can tell you guys, for people who enjoy, the additional challenges, maybe some of the unlocks, experiencing different combos, playing with your favorite characters, again, you got to ask yourself that type of question. The next thing is, do you love co-op? Do you plan to do co-op online? Meaning that, do you have people you want to play with, or maybe even randoms? Can you do local co-op, such as, maybe you have friends that come over, or maybe you have kids, right, that you can play this game with. So again, you need to ask yourself a question around that, as far as because that will extend the life of the game. And then ultimately, sometimes people don't care about any of that. You know what they do care? They just love side scroller beat 'em ups, and they are going to buy it no matter what, because they just want to add it to their collection. So the reason I'm telling you guys this is, I think that if you can answer yes to at least two of those questions, then you might want to consider buying it. But if you can only answer maybe yes to one of those, then I would probably recommend you wait. I'd wait for a sale. I actually would anticipate, over the next, I'm gonna say maybe 2 to 3 months, I have a feeling the game will go on sale, and you'll probably be able to catch it easily down to $20, maybe even 50% off. Just my opinion. Maybe the Steam Christmas sale, might offer it up at a little bit more of a discount. But I think if you can get it around that maybe $15, $20 range, it's a must buy. Especially if you love those 2D, side scrolling type games. I do know, when looking at Steam, as far as the Steam reviews go, it is highly positive. I think last time I saw, might be sitting around the 90% range. Again, don't quote me on that, but I think a lot of people who have bought it, have enjoyed it. But like I said, in my case, it's a tough sell for me when I think about $30 for only a 3-hour campaign, and I really don't see myself replaying the game. So up next, guys, is going to be kind of my final verdict. My score and what I truly think about the game, and then just wrapping it up at that point. So as always, guys, I love making my videos, and but we do have to have an end, and we're now upon the final verdict. And when I think about Marvel's cosmic invasion, it is a love letter, to the '90s arcade beat 'em up type games, and I thought it was executed beautifully. So, things I did like. I mean, the swap system I thought was pretty cool. It does add a little bit more, in-depth strategy, and how you're going to face enemies and even the boss battles. The pixel art, again, I thought was pretty incredible. And the presentation of the game itself was done pretty well. So with that, I am going to give the score an 8 out of 10. Now, what goes into that? It's very simple. The gorgeous pixel art style, the presentation. Look, you're getting 15 well designed characters, from the Marvel universe. It is perfect for those quick game sessions. So if you're looking for something, you can jump in, maybe beat a level. Again, you can beat it in 10, 15 minutes per level, and then jump right back out. If the game offers obviously great co-op, couch co-op, or even online co-op at that point. I mean, 4-player co-op. So again, local, online, and I think there's even cross-play, if I recall, within the game. So obviously your co-op base does go much higher when you think about cross-play, and then ultimately the character swap mechanic. I did like that, as I've already stated multiple times. It does add more strategy to the game. Now, what I didn't like. Look, I can tell you, within about an hour, maybe hour and a half into the game, you will see repetitive enemies over and over and over. I mean, look, it is what it is. Combat's still smooth. It's still fun. I did think the game was too easy on normal. Again, that's not really a strike. I'm just kind of pointing out to everybody. So if you do buy the game, especially if you only want to play it once, I would probably recommend to up the difficulty at least to hard, because I'm flying through the game with no challenge, to be honest with everybody. Look, I already talked the price tag. I think it's way too steep, or at least for me, regarding, my value of the game. I'm not a big co-op player. I'm not hunting down, do all the different combos. At the same time, I like Marvel, but I'm not like some huge fanboy, and I'm not going to drop $30 just because I get to play, some of the characters. And Look, beyond the character swap, there isn't really any huge innovation. To me, if you've played one beat 'em up, it's basically the same thing. So, but overall, I'm still going to rate the game an 8 out of 10. So, the other thing I like to talk about is who should buy, maybe who should avoid. When you really think about these type of games. So, obviously, if you're a Marvel fanboy, buy it. Look, you got 15 characters you get to play with, right? Um, if you're a beat 'em up game enthusiast, to me, again, another buy. Just go out and get it. And then obviously, if you're a co-op, if you love your co-op, so the game offers plenty. When you think about the co-op, so if you're a gamer that kind of fits in one of those three styles, I'd probably recommend that you go buy the game. At the same time, I think that people who should wait, it boils down to three things. Also, I think if you just plan to play the game solo, is it really worth $30? Probably not. At the same time, if you want a long campaign, good luck. That's not going to happen here. Go look for another game. Like I said, I haven't completely beat the game. I have 3 or 4 missions left, but I'm sitting around about 2 hours, 15 minutes, maybe a little longer or shorter. I don't know. I didn't track it all, but just reading about it, they do say it's 3 hour campaign. So I can tell you it does kind of fit the timeline that I'm seeing up to this point. And then obviously, if you're not into these kind of pixel art or retro, style games, again, you might want to wait. So yeah, I think you just got to boil it down. You got to ask the right questions to yourself. And do you think the game's really worth, paying the $30? Or, maybe go play something else, wait for a sale, and then buy it. Because look, I did enjoy the game, is how I'm going to put it to everybody. So I do want to thank everybody for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed my review. And if you can do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you know anytime I go live or I post a new video. And if you enjoyed the video, or if you didn't enjoy the video, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Either way, I appreciate the support. And if you do decide to buy the game, I hope you enjoy it. And at the same time, down in the comments, let me know who's your favorite character. Did you that you played throughout the game. Again, you got 15 choices, so let me know who was your favorite, or maybe a couple, 2 or 3 at that point. And with that, guys, hit F5, reset, reload. I'm F5 Dad, and I will see you on the next video.